Hey guys, in this video we'll be talking about CSS transitions. Without further ado, let's just get started. So I've created a box here which has some basic CSS properties, and let's just go ahead and see what transitions are. Well, transitions, you can consider them as basic animations. So for example, if you have a button, you see some hover transitions, for example, really smoothly, the background changing, so on and so forth, and stuff along those lines basically. So let's say we actually wanted to change, I don't know, the width of this particular box if I hover over it or something along those lines. So how do you go about doing that? Well, you basically just add a hover. You basically say, I want to make the width 300 pixels. And if I save it, and if I hover over it, as you can see, the width is updating, obviously, as I hover over it, but there's no transition. It's happening immediately. So if I wanted to apply a transition, I would basically go here. I would say transition, and I would then define what type of transition I want to make or what type of property I want to change here. So I can say the width should change in, let's say, 1 second. So now let's say if I refresh, as you can see, it's happening really slowly and it looks really nice. Similarly, I can say that I also want to change the background here. I want to change the background color to be yellow or something along those lines. And if I save it, so as you can see, the background is changing, but the transition isn't happening smoothly because I've only mentioned that the transition should change the width, not the background color. If I wanted to give it a background color as well, I can say the background color should also change, and perhaps it should take, let's say, 2 seconds. So now if I hover over it, as you can see, the box expands in 1 second, but the transition for the background color takes 2 seconds. Similarly, I can just basically target all of these things. I can say I want to change all of the properties in, let's say, 1 second. And once I do that and click save, and if I actually see it now, as you can see, all of these things are happening in that particular 1 second. Some other things that you can probably have a look at is some of the other ways in which this transition can happen. So let me just go ahead and update this width to something larger. So as we can see, we have something larger. Now you have a lot of different properties. You have linear transition animation. So this is actually to set the animation. So once you do that, the speed is really straightforward. It's not necessarily jumping around, so on and so forth. Similarly, you can have ease. With ease, you can have something that's easing in and out, and it's like a really fluid animation. Similarly, you can have ease in, you can have ease in, out, and so on and so forth. If you actually go to W3 Schools or something and actually search for transitions, you can actually see some of these transition properties here as well. So let me just actually go to this particular thing. So now, as you can see, we have all of these transitions applied. So with linear, it's moving really slow without necessarily changing the speed over time. With ease, it's sort of slightly smooth. With ease in, it's actually increasing the speed as it reaches the end of the animation. With ease out, it actually has the maximum speed when it begins, but then smooths out at the end. With ease in and out, it starts fast and then it ends fast as well. So here are some of the properties. Obviously, you can configure them the way you like. I'll just keep it ease in. Some other things that you can probably have a look at is the delay, for example. So I can actually type transition minus delay, and I can say the delay should be, let's say, 2 seconds. So if I save it and let it just refresh, let's just go ahead and refresh the page as well. So once I hover over it, as you can see, nothing happens. After 2 seconds, the animation triggers, and then it actually, again, and even when I take my cursor away from it, then again, it runs the animation or the transition after 2 seconds. Similarly, I can have a lot of other things as well. I can say transform, and here we have scale, rotate. So let's just go ahead and play around with rotate here. So let's say I make it 90 degrees or something along those lines. If I save it and let it just come, let me just remove the transition delay because it's taking some time. And here we have the rotation. So it's also increasing the width at the same time, and it's also, again, rotating the object as well. Similarly, I can do a few other things. I can say translate. So what translate basically does is it actually moves the element. So I can say the translation should be, let's say, 100 pixels. And once it saves And now if I actually translate it, so it's actually moving the y-axis and it's moving its position 100 pixels from the top or from its original position. I can similarly do translate x 100 pixels and it's going to move to the right, while obviously applying some of these other properties as well. So that's pretty much it for this video. Do stick around, because in the next video we'll be covering CSS animations, which again is an extremely interesting topic, and it's going to allow you to make your websites even more lively. Do hit the subscribe button, do hit the bell icon, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.